Hello and welcome to another edition of the Moving Iron Podcast. This podcast is proudly provided by Axon, helping dealers move more iron for almost 100 years. Find out more at axontire.com. Axon was started almost 100 years ago out of a passion for keeping agriculture moving. It's that same passion that drives them today. With a vision for a better experience for both farmer and dealer, they set out to create a better way to move more iron. When you partner with Axon, you get immediate access to a full range of products and solutions designed to meet the complex needs of today's grower. Axon carries all major brands and sizes of tires, wheels, and tracks. From custom colors and sizes to fully customized wheels, you can have the solution for virtually any problem today's farmer is trying to solve. To find more or become an Axon dealer, please visit axontire.com. This podcast is also brought to you by Valley Transportation. Valley Transportation has been hauling ag and construction equipment across the country for the past 33 years. Call Parker at 800-657-4910 or go to valleytransinc.com for all your trucking needs. At Valley Transportation, our goal is to help you reach yours. This podcast is also brought to you by Ag Direct. No matter how you buy your ag equipment, from a dealer, auction, or a private party, Ag Direct can help you finance it. You can even apply online at agdirect.com. Learn more about your financing options at agdirect.com.
Moving iron in the 21st century. Hard-working people working hard for you and me. Moving iron time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here. Moving Iron.
Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast number 246. This edition of the Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by Axon Tire, helping dealers move more iron for the past 100 years. For more information, go to axontire.com. Also, Valley Transportation has been hauling ag and construction equipment across the country for the past 33 years. Call Parker at 800-657-4910 for all your trucking needs. At Valley Transportation, our goal is to help you reach yours. And no matter how you buy ag equipment, from a dealer, auction, or a private party, Ag Direct can help you finance it. You can even apply online at agdirect.com. Learn more about your financing options at agdirect.com. Well, I'm your host, Casey Seymour, and I have my host, my co-host,
official title,
Aaron Fennell. Aaron, how you doing today, bud?
I'm terrific, and yourself?
If I was any better, I couldn't stand it. That's
there
how
you
good.
Go.
That's how good I am.
And be twins.
That's exactly right. So, man, what you been up to?
The daily battles of life, my man.
Daily battles of life.
Yeah.
Have you fed your sheep yet today?
No, that will be post pod.
Post podcast. Right on.
Yep.
Right on. So, on a normal day, you have two operations, right? You've got the east operation. You got Fennell East, and then you got Fennell West,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So, like on a normal day, are we talking like 5 or 6 hours worth of work? Or are we talking
No, we're talking excluding travel time. On a normal day, half hour max.
Half hour max. Because you've got the feed truck with the bunk feeder on the back of it, so you can weigh with the scale. None of that.
No. Free choice hay out of a bale processor.
Uh-huh.
Do that once a week, and buckets of corn daily.
Word.
That's it. So daily is, depending on time of year, like 10 buckets, 20 buckets in a Ranger with a heater.
Can I get 30 buckets?
And a radio. So they are not very difficult at all.
Right on. Well, it's been we did get some moisture come through here finally. We had a nice snow that was supposed to be flurries. And I got it.
And it was wet. It was actually wet.
Yeah, it was like, I got 2.5, 3 inches of snow at my house. Of heavy wet snow. Would you get up on the high plains?
We didn't get that much up on the high desert at all. I would say maybe it was a solid inch.
Was it?
Inch and a half, maybe.
Yep.
It wasn't 2.
Yep. Right on. So,
but it was just slush, man.
Yeah.
It was everything.
And it's odd for this time of the year to have that kind of wet snow.
Yeah.
Usually that's like April, May snow.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, anyway, all right.
Or the good old March blizzards.
That's Don't you love those?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, the one thing about being in this business, more than anything, is it's the networking that you do, right?
Right.
And the networking that you do is the more success that you have being a used equipment guy and marketing your equipment and looking for those gaps to fill is 1,000% based off of what your network looks like. Right?
Absolutely.
Right. So I found that out pretty early in my career, working back in Wichita at the cat dealer back down there when I was watching a guy across from me named Ryan Brule do his thing, and that dude never put the phone down. Constantly just bang, 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 bang. Calling other cat dealers, I got this, you got that, I got a guy looking for this, got a guy looking for that. And I learned pretty early that I didn't know any different, so I just kind of figured out what he was doing and took off and ran with it. And to be real honest with you, that was probably the biggest lesson that I learned early on in my career.
Right.
I don't know how successful I would have been if I wouldn't have been put in that situation to start with.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously we would have ended up calling other dealers to trying to figure out, like, what are you doing here? What are you doing there? But not intentionally just calling people just for the sake of, hey, can I have your phone number?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Hey, what's your email address?
Yep.
And it wasn't anything like that. I mean, it was very much just a broad kind of stroke when it came to trying to figure out how to talk to all these people. So you're talking like 2006, 2007, 2008. And for the longest time, you didn't really ever know who anybody was. You knew who they were on the phone.
Right, yeah.
And you maybe had like kind of a mental guess of kind of what they might have looked like, but you never saw them. So going into...
And if you're like me, half the time you are way off.
It's amazing. It's amazing how wrong you are. Right?
Yeah.
And it was a fun experiment to learn all these things. And then you'd go to a conference, right? And you'd meet these people.
Yep.
And you'd be like, holy crap, good to see you, man. But it was like you already knew them, right? Because you had that long conversation with them on the phone about everything else.
Absolutely. It's the first time you physically met them,
Yep.
but you already know each other.
Yep. And you just kind of pick up where you left off in the last thing, except now you know what they look like.
Right.
So you can, now when you talk to them, you kind of have that middle thing.
Yep, absolutely.
So as these...
In which, for me, my process was the same because you got me started, and my process was the same, but modernized another 5 years,
Right.
And it was almost 100% digital.
Right. Yeah, I remember having to print pictures off because you couldn't email them.
Right.
You print pictures off.
You could email like one picture, and it would take half hour.
It would take all the time in the world. But I remember printing pictures off and faxing those pictures to somebody. I don't know how you told.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that those pictures were.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I remember getting them too, and I'd be like, "What?"
Yeah, you can't read a normal letter through fax,
Right.
let alone a picture.
Yeah. So then you start looking at these, start doing those kind of things, and I remember putting. We had a file. And like a little manila file for everything you had, and you didn't store the pictures on. Well, you stored them on a computer someplace, but whenever you went out and pulled out the inspection that machine, I had like 15 pictures stapled to it, and that you could take those pictures and you just flip through those pictures and look at them. You wouldn't.
Right.
Why would you go look online? It's stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's completely dumb. But it's amazing how far things has changed, and now any meeting that you go to now is. I know people want to tell you that I'm here because you have this great group of speakers or some level of information that you're going to give me. It's 99.9% is I know this guy is going to be there, and either I really have a good relationship with him and I want to continue growing that relationship, or I know he's going to be there and I haven't met him.
Right.
Or you got 7 of your buddies that always show up, and
Exactly.
and then you sit through the meeting as long as you possibly can, and then you do that whole thing, and then as soon as that's done with, it's dinner and drinks.
Then you go make sure that the downtown businesses are appreciated.
Yeah, normally we do a pretty good job of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, do a really good job of doing that. So,
especially the. For I think us used guys specifically, the speakers we are a super niche group, and everybody's got their own ideas and this and that. But once you get to the networking thing, it's funny to see, who ends up where,
Right.
who the little groups are,
Right.
kind of thing.
Yep.
I always get such a kick out of that because those groups themselves, by their diversity, where the guys are from, and that kind of stuff. Those groups themselves show you how important the networking side of it is.
Right. Yep.
Without question.
Yep. So when you, I think one of the key things to any good used equipment guy or gal, one of the key things that's out there that to really kind of drive home what this whole thing looks like to me, it is what value you bring when you're trading for off-colored equipment.
Yep.
Right? So if you're a New Holland guy and you're looking at a big John Deere deal or a Fendt deal or something like that, what are you going to bring to the table that's going to help expedite that deal, right?
Yep,
And that's
absolutely.
not just like I'm going to put the trade numbers on there. Those trade numbers have to be backed by something, right?
Yep.
Because I can go out and look at all of the off-colored equipment that I want to look at on Tractor House or Tractor Zoom or whatever it is that we've got going on there. But primarily, more than anything, I need to have enough contacts that I can contact about whatever it is that's going on.
Yep.
To get a solid, I would buy it for this.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Or you turn it into what you need,
right.
which
Yep.
right now, well, as we talked with Kevin, that right now is huge.
Right.
It's
Yep.
not who's your fellow color buddy, it's who's your other color buddies.
Right. Yeah, because more than likely you're out looking at as much off-colored equipment now as you are inline equipment.
Yep.
Right. And because right now guys are just hunting and pecking, trying to find something to go at.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they're generating something out of thin air to make something happen. So growing your contacts.
Farmers are buying machinery like they're in the transfer portal, man. It's jump over here, jump over there,
Right.
jump wherever.
Yeah, and I've heard, and that kind of goes back to the other topic too of you hear people talk about what's going on in the overall marketplace and what that looks like. And to be real honest with you, fertilizer costs are front of people's mind right now,
Oh, absolutely.
but it hasn't slowed anybody down,
No,
right?
there hasn't been. Yeah, you're right. It's.
Because I really thought going into this first quarter of the year,
I thought, yeah,
You
once
know?
we got after the first,
Yep.
it was gonna big time hit the brakes. But
Yep.
there's as much. Okay, yep, put my name on it
Yep.
now.
which even to me now, but it's you take having these contacts that you can go around and call, just getting a feel for what's going on in the marketplace.
Yeah,
in their neck of the
everywhere.
woods.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
And it's
Is-
the same. There is
Yeah.
nowhere where it's decent. No, it is.
Yep.
It is assholes and elbows everywhere.
Exactly right. And I think the other benefit to that
Doesn't
too
matter
is,
color. Doesn't matter what product
Yep.
segment.
Yep.
Everything is that way.
Yep. And especially when you start looking at, this is one thing I love about having a broad base of contacts across the country, is that you can start looking at, okay, our area, sugar beets is a big deal, right? And there's not very many other pockets of the world that have sugar beets. Well,
Right.
I can pick the phone up and talk to 10 or 15 different people that are in various sugar beet parts of the world and be like, okay, price of sugar's same here as it is there. What's the weather? I mean, how many did you get? All three payments? Did you do that? Like, what does it look like?
Right.
So what's your temperature up there for sugar beet equipment? What's your temperature for whatever it is that they're doing, right? And finding that contact base that's got a similar crop mix to where you're at in a different geographical area. They have different factors that factor into the overall economy that they're in versus the overall economy that we're in.
Yep, absolutely.
But it's just enough alike that they're generating this money from the same place.
Right.
So what's happening there? What's going different? What are you seeing that I'm not seeing? What's some little niche thing that's popping up in your area, type of thing?
Yep.
Now, some of that stuff may happen, may not happen, But when you're talking to just a corn and soybean guy in Illinois, and just another corn and soybean guy in eastern Nebraska, and another corn and soybean guy in southeast Kansas, and then you go over to some corn and soybean guy down in northern Mississippi. That's kind of this. I mean, there's nothing different about. I mean, there's difference about it from the perspective of the yields that they're generating.
Yeah, yields, hybrids, but they're all dealing with
It's all the same thing.
Yes, exactly.
It's all the same thing, right?
That is excuse me, that is one basket of eggs.
Right. Yep, and across the board. So
out here is a completely different basket.
Thing, yeah.
Then you get West Coast, way, way, way different basket altogether.
Exactly.
East Coast, down south, southeast.
Yep. So growing that contact base is huge. So as a guy that's on banging on the phone all day long, what spurs you to go look for that new contact? Because I get stuck in it a lot of times where I've got like the 7 guys that I trust to know,
Right.
and I'm just that's who I call first, right?
I guess for mine it would be, the biggest thing is you look for off color that has a lot of off color, because that's my color.
Right.
That would be number one. I guess, contact searching, if you will, is usually driven by I really need to get rid of this, and there's got to be somebody somewhere that wants this, and I'm going to find them.
Right.
Till I do.
Right.
So,
you know,
once in a while there'll be it'll pop in your head, hey, it's been a year. Mm-hmm. See, go through, I have my processes that I do.
Yep.
And take a week if you got a slower week. So maybe in 5 years I can do it again.
Right.
But it's a good way, for some downtime, go through and go through the process and see what else has popped up.
Yep. I always took my contacts and put them in A, Bs, and Cs, just like I would if it was any other segmentation out on the farm, right? You got your A guys that you're going to call on once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever that is. You get your B guys you're going to call on once a month. You get your C guys you're going to call on once every 2 months, once every 3 months, something like that. And I very much had that same concept. There were guys that were more, geared towards, like, there was one guy I knew that just, like, all he dealt with were 7,000 20 series tractors. That was like his niche, right?
Yep.
And then there was another guy I knew that was really into combines, but it was older combines.
Yeah.
And then I knew the guy that was into everything, but he also farmed. So it was one of those things like, what do I need in the farm right now that I can turn, and then I'm gonna make a little money on it. And then you had the guys that were, they were up for whatever you wanted to give them as long as they could make it work.
Sure.
Right. And so those are like the ABCs, kind of how I looked at them, and to me it made it pretty beneficial to make things work. But again, I'm going to go back to this: is that when someone came in and said, "Hey, we want to trade for a X," I immediately thought of 10 people that I could call to get a number on whatever this was. Right. And when you have 10 people that are giving you a number right away, and those 10 people have the same number plus or minus $5,000, that's the market.
Right. Exactly.
Right? So you can, and that kind of goes back to that. You can go look at Tractor House, you can go look at Machinery Pete, you can go look at wherever you want to go look at, but the boots on the ground are telling you that it's worth X. It's worth X. And you probably shouldn't have any more than X in it.
Right. Plus, what you're seeing out there is what they're hoping for. That's not what the check is written for.
Right.
Maybe today.
Right.
But typically not.
Yeah.
It's funny that we're sitting here talking about this because, dude, it's just habit. That is life now. All these all these steps and stuff. That's just like drinking water through the day. It says so you don't die.
Right.
It's just part of life.
It's part of it. Yeah.
It's wild to sit here and go, well, I don't do that, and be like, yeah, that's what you do 80 times a day, every day, kind of deal. And that's wild. Just just throwing that out there.
That's the other thing too about the whole concept of what it is that we do. It's our touch points per customer are just exponentially higher.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, in a day, if you're out calling on the guy in territory and just doing your own territory calls, and you're really getting after it, you're just 100% bang, 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 bang. Stop by, you get your 4 or 5 guys you want to go see for the day, type of thing for sure. And then you might stop by a few other places. You might get seven stops in a day. Right. Some of these people, I get 20 stops done in a day. It's like, well, they must be contiguous stops in a row because, out here especially, you drive from one guy's place, it's 10 minutes at a minimum to the next guy.
Right.
And then you stop and talk to him, next thing you know, you spent 6 stops, whatever else, you spent 30 minutes per stop. You got 3-4 hours of actual talking, and you got another 3 or 4 hours of driving around.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
yep.
And then on top of that, make a few phone calls here and those type of things. In that same time period, we legitimately, I remember doing this, legitimately making 25 or 30 phone calls in a day.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, they're quick, 10, 15-minute conversations, but, you're just like banging through those.
Yep.
Starting in the morning and working your way around the time zones
right,
to the end of the day,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I used to do that a lot back in, with the start from scratch thing, that's exactly how it was.
Yep. And the easiest thing, too, about...
Once it got to, 4 o'clock Mountain,
yeah,
it was just... Because the West Coast wholesale world is its own very, very unique animal over there. So it was... That, for me, is like a handle it on its own day kind of thing.
Right.
But the other, going... Once you... East to west, following the time... following the sun through the day.
Right.
Once you got to 4 o'clock here, Mountain Time,
it's
like, well, that was it.
Right.
It was just like poof, man.
As fast as you can get out of there.
But on the flip side, you better be ready to roll at 5:30.
Right.
5:30 and hit it.
Because I remember staying at work till 6 o'clock at night because that was 5 o'clock west.
Right.
You know what I mean? And starting at 7 in the morning because that was 8 o'clock. Well, actually, it was 9 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time.
Right.
But it was 8 o'clock Central, and getting those, starting that, that early morning check-in of here. What are you looking for today? What do you got? Here's what I got.
Yeah.
And working your way across, and then by about noon, I kind of had a game plan of what I was going to go back after and start putting the puzzle pieces together, see if you can't make something out of it.
Yep.
And that's the one thing. That's what I like about this side of the business more than anything. Is it's not so much the speed of the transaction, but the other person that you're talking to on the phone. They are doing the exact same thing you're doing.
Yep.
They're not there to, I got a guy over here, and
the
guy
it's short and sweet, yes or no.
And they're moving on to the next thing, and they're trying to make something happen.
Right.
Because they've got a guy who's looking for something, right? Or, you know what, I got a piece I need to put on the lot. I've got a spot here to fill in, but I also need to get rid of this piece. So, what can we do, And I think that's what I like the most about this deal. Now, I've never had it where it was 100% all used, wholesale side of the equipment of the business. That was that's all I ever did. The other thing I like about this side of it, too, is whoever you're talking to on the phone, that's the end user, the farm guy that saw it on the internet or whatever.
Right.
They're like 80% in on whatever it is that they're calling you about.
Right. They had to call.
Yeah. There's something there that they're like, that's exactly what I'm looking for. The hours are right. It's got this or it's got that, and I can't find the whatever, and it's,
Yep.
They're 80% in. The other 20% you're closing with, whatever it is that you're closing with, right?
Some kind of service. Or,
whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah. And, some financing or whatever it is.
Not price, because they want to pay what you're asking.
Right.
Every time.
Every single time. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Price is never an issue.
But it's that one catalyst where I always felt like it was a 60-40 mix for me.
Sure.
60% wholesale dealer transaction, building that network, growing that network, and then about 40% end user internet caller calling me and looking for whatever it was.
Sure.
Now, all that being said, was some of my best contacts though were the end users that I got developed the relationship with.
Oh yeah.
That call you or you call them, or they're on your email list or whatever it is,
Yep.
and they're looking for stuff. So it's a pretty simple concept to do, but it's like any other side. This is the one frustration that I have sometimes with the perception of the used equipment department is that it's just like any other sales territory. How you handle that sales territory is how you interact within that sales territory is the same level of success that any other sales territory interaction has, right? So if you have zip code 1 2 3 4 5 and zip code 6 7 8 9 10, and you only go out to those and calling those customers once a month, you're not going to be very successful, right? But if you're out there pounding that sales territory hard,
right,
you're going to be successful. It's the exact same way on the used equipment side, right? You have to have time to go out and grow and culturally make those things work. So
yeah, otherwise, you have to be present in their memory,
right? Sure.
Pretty routine.
Yep.
Because they got a lot to pick from.
Yeah, there's a million people calling you.
Exactly. So you gotta be fresh in front of that guy's mind when he's like, "Ooh, I need this." Wonder if Aaron has it.
Right.
Yep. You want to be that first thought of, "Oh, I wonder if he's got one."
Yep. And plus, it's building that relationship too, where whoever's on the other end that you're dealing with, they keep calling you back because it's always been an easy transition.
Yeah.
If it's not what it's supposed to be, then
it gets taken care of one way or another, and everybody's satisfied.
Because that's the other thing too, on this side of the business, is that we're buying as much stuff sight unseen and just reselling it as other people are too. So we get surprised by stuff too. So it's
absolutely
real simple. Right on. Well, we decided to start a new segment, and the new segment's called Boots on the Ground. And the idea behind Boots on the Ground is that it's just that we're going to go out and talk to people that are doing this kind of stuff every day. And Aaron and I kind of thought about it and what we were going to do and the perspectives that we want to bring into this. And I think we're going to reach out and talk to as many different people as we can go out there and talk to. So our first guest that we had on the Boots on the Ground is going to come up here next, and it's Kevin Vandervort out of Hoober's Inc. And they are Case IH dealer in
East Coast,
pretty much. I mean, New York, Pennsylvania,
Delaware,
Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina. So they cover a big swath area out there. And Kevin's a guy I met probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, something like that. And he's a smart guy, wealth of information, and glad we could have him on. So
absolutely.
So with that, Kevin. All right. So this segment is a new one we just came up with, and it's not something we've done before. Aaron, I thought it'd be good to get some other perspectives in the podcast, because when you live and breathe in like one county in western Nebraska, in the Panhandle, Nebraska, you kind of hit a pinch point in the overall view of America.
Well, don't shortchange us like that, man. Our coverage area is as big as a whole state, even though it's parts of two.
Well,
technically three.
True.
But so take it easy with that.
Right. Same landscape though throughout the entire
state. It is. So. Pivot, sagebrush, sand.
That's exactly right. So we thought we would come up with this fancy name called Boots on the Ground, and we'd bring in a used equipment manager or some person like that from the industry that works in used equipment and kind of talks about what's going on every day and knows what's happening in the marketplace. And we thought our first victim would be Kevin Vandervort out of Hoober's Inc. out there on the East Coast, out there in where you at? Delaware, Pennsylvania, a little bit of New York, kind of in that area, right?
So yeah, we cover Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Virginia, down to North Carolina line.
Right on.
Nice.
Oh wow! So you really get down there. So you kind of get out to Martha's Vineyard much, or you kind of get that?
No. You know what's interesting? There are no Case IH dealers in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, or Connecticut.
Well, look there. You got some places to grow now. You got some expansion plans coming your way, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Modern day pioneers.
Yeah.
Load the covered wagon. We're going to Massachusetts.
I don't know if I want to do that or not.
Well, Kevin, kind of talk a little bit about. Kevin's been on the podcast before. I don't remember what number it was, but it was about a year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago. Kevin was on, but Kevin, tell everybody what you do with Hoobers and kind of what your position is there at the company.
Sure. So I am the used equipment manager. Been here since 2013. Took over for a guy that was retiring at the end of the great prosperity in agriculture.
Good time, buddy.
That's great.
Larry had all the fun, and I came in and dealt with all the mess, and learned how to learn how to appraise and evaluate equipment as it was devaluing every month. And thank God we got through that. And so I do appraisals all day long. I'm looking at the trades that are coming in, possible trades that are coming in, and trying to put retail numbers and book numbers on all of those units. In that process, I am talking with other dealers, you guys, a bunch of other John Deere dealers I have good contacts with, and some Challenger dealers and AGCO dealers, and all the other colors out there that we deal with. So we are a Case IH dealer, and we also represent JCB. We have Kubota, Great Plains, Kraus, Kuhn, Knight, Woods. So I'm seeing all that kind of equipment all the time. And we have dairy, we have beef, we have row crop, we have nursery, turf. What else? Oh, cotton, peanuts, down in the Southern Virginia and North Carolina area.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So potatoes, some row vegetables. So we're very diverse, and a boatload of poultry.
Right. In the coastal, like your Maryland, Delaware, isn't there a lot of like high value crops in those regions too, or not?
Yes. Oh yeah.
A lot of fruits and vegetables type stuff.
Yeah, fruits and vegetables, cannery, still quite a bit of sweet corn, snap peas, green beans, cucumbers for pickles, spinach, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of center pivot irrigation in this area.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is it gives us a lot of diversity. But I see a lot of different pieces of equipment as well with that.
Right.
So
yeah, you probably have a little bit of a lot of specialty equipment that comes across your way then.
Yes. And that goes in cycles, but yes, it gets interesting.
Okay. So I'm sure you're like every other dealer out there right now that's just flush with equipment. You don't know what you're going to do with it all, and you've got more stuff to sell than you can shake a stick at, right?
It's interesting. We were going over some numbers about 2 weeks ago. Our new inventory manager and I. And when I took over back in 2013, we had somewhere like 700, I think we topped out like 720 pieces of used inventory, somewhere around $30 million worth of used equipment. And we have it's 243 pieces of used equipment in inventory right now at about I think it's $9 or $10 million. And we probably have less inventory than we had back when we were just 3 stores.
Yeah.
It's just incredible, the difference.
Yeah, it's amazing. We were talking about that the other day, that if you take a look at an inventory situation right now where we're at, we have less inventory now than we did when we had, like you said, like 3 or 4 stores. I mean, and back then we were stressed out about that. Now we're looking at this going like, man, hope we have something to sell. We're using customer databases as far as what they have on farm to start talking to people about what's going on, what they might be looking for, upgrading those kind of things, and trying to build that washout cycle, non-organically, really. I mean, you're just trying to create something out of thin air and see if you can't get something to stick.
Yeah, it's the worry now is, as you said, what are we going to have to sell? our sales guys are commission.
Right.
So they have to be selling. And if they're not, and by all means, I do not want them to not be making money. If
Right.
they're not making money, they're not going to be happy. They're going to be looking to go somewhere else.
Right.
Where that is today, I don't know, but they're going to be looking to go somewhere else. So I want them selling. I want them trying to find stuff.
Yep.
And the dichotomy right now is, okay, that piece, how premium is it that we go great guns on it versus is it really just an average piece that kind of looks good? And right now I think right now every average piece, because there's so few, looks a little better than what it did, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
What is that? It's a 2 at 10 and a 10 at 2.
Yeah, there you go.
So, I think there's such little inventory right now that everything looks like a 10.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so, that's the big thing is making sure that I have good relationships with all of my John Deere buddies so that I can try to get any of your red trades.
Right.
And so that I have some inventory to sell.
Yeah.
What green stuff I get, I'm sure, all my John Deere buddies are looking for that because we're all in the same boat here.
Yeah. That's such a key part to this, making all this thing work is that, for as strategically, staunchly against each other we are, we're kind of linked together in a lot of ways. It's how it's the further away you are, the more friendly we're going to be with you, type of thing. That's usually how that works.
And what's funny, Kevin could probably relate to this. In a normal year, kind of your best allies are your case or my Deere dealers that are a couple organizations away. Like you have a buffer, in between. And now those are your biggest enemy because we're all after that one tractor that's for sale in North America, So now we're in a world where you and I are more allies than me and Green Dealer A, or me and the Agco guy are better allies than me and Green Dealer B.
Yeah.
I really feel like that is the world we're in and have been in for, at least 6 months.
For sure. So Kevin, talk a little bit about what's going on in your area right now. So what are you seeing? What's the hottest thing right now? You got obviously tractors. I mean, that's an easy one, but you start looking at coming into spring like this, you've got planter situations, you got spring, harvesting kind of here looming over the horizon here. So I guess as you take a look at those two things, how are you handling those situations and what are you really driving for right now as far as inventory?
So we're coming, obviously we're coming into planter season. I was really surprised that last fall we did a bunch of trades and we had a number of 16-row corn planters, 16 and 1632 planters, and we sold out of most of those by the end of the year, which I was quite surprised because it was kind of an off-season sale time. So we're coming into the spring, and we'll be in the midst of planter season with a few 6s and some 8s, and not really a lot of anything else. And it's going to be interesting to see how people react to that because we don't. There'll be a few new pieces that will free up some of units that are still on the farm because the person said you can't have it until I have my new. And I'd have to go back. I think most of those are already pre-sold. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. And I've had a few sales guys come to me and say, "Hey, I'm looking for this planter. Can you go find something?" And I've told them, "Look, at this point, I have to go buy from one of my fellow Case ICE dealers to get you something because there's nothing red on any of my John Deere guys' lots.
Mhm.
And so I'm not going to get a deal. If it's already listed on the internet, those guys aren't going to give me a deal.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Can I have that at ask price plus 10%? Nope. Has to keep it in the area. Be like,
Yeah.
It's a world where, man.
Yeah.
Yep. And I don't know. I'm with you, Casey. I think we're in this for 2025, 2026.
Yep.
This isn't a quick fix. There's no silver bullet that's coming along here. That even with the crop market where it's at, there's no silver unless the OEMs are lying to us and they're going to dump all their new pieces that are sitting on their lots all at one time. I don't see it.
I think even then, though, I think it's just I think one of my things I've been paying attention to, I've thought about that a lot, Kevin, is when you sit back and you look at that and just say everybody, the fourth quarter of the year, everybody just throws in everyone's new equipment stuff all shows up and we're going to go out and sell everything. We got all this used stuff coming in. Most of that used equipment is pre-sold already. And
Absolutely.
the cupboard is so bare that it's going to take a lot to get. I mean, this is the first time in my history of being in this business where I was happy to go out and sell as much new equipment as I can because I was going to generate a bunch of used equipment to go out and sell. Typically, we're selling into such a saturated used equipment marketplace, trying to sell a bunch of new equipment and try to take in a bunch of used that you're constantly worrying about what your turn looks like,
It gets you coming and going.
This is you're just hoping to God that you have enough new equipment coming to generate enough used to get, what you have pre-sold taken care of. And that's the thing I'm kind of thinking about, where you have this group of people that are going to be looking at various parts of the business and thinking that, oh man, my inventory is not that bad. I mean, I've only got, I've only got. And you keep hearing that until all of a sudden you say, holy crap, I've got, and
Right.
you're sitting there 3 years down the line where you've got an inventory problem. And I agree with you. I think it's that 25, 26, 27 timeframe that we start really seeing a big ballooning of used equipment value or inventories anyway. But also, like you said, crop prices now and then could squash that pretty hard too.
They would have to, because the prices being high is our biggest enemy.
True.
Yeah.
It just keeps that snowball rolling downhill and we never will get caught up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
But the hard thing right now, I think for me is, I'm watching all of these auctions and the prices that people are paying at auction. And it just is mind-boggling. And can we as a dealer get that? And I've had the really nice piece you'll always get good money for, but I don't know that there's always that really nice piece that people are paying stupid money for at the auction.
Yeah, exactly.
so that kind of alludes back to my rule of thumb I have, where you're somewhere between 15 and 25% above auction value right now, and I don't know. I mean, that's a tough one, man, because I don't know if you want to go out and tell someone that they bought it at auction for whatever $100,000, so somehow you're going to be selling it for 125, 115 to 125, maybe $130,000. I think whoever has the golden goose right now is the one that's going to be able to sell those eggs and get whatever they want for them. You know what I mean? And I think that's the driving factor right now in the market that we're in, is if you have it and you can buy it today, that's worth something above and beyond what you see advertised.
It's the very definition of a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush.
Yeah.
And that's that. You carve that in stone for auctions.
Yeah.
Second half of 21.
And especially if you take
That tractor in 20 brought 50, and in 21 it brought 96.
Yeah. So in your area, this is something I've been paying attention to as well, is how many retirement, estate sales, those kind of things are popping up around there. And I can't really say that I've seen a whole bunch of stuff like that. We've had some conversations with customers that are pretty much retired. They kind of pulled that. I'm not going to really plant anything this year, but I'm going to have someone farm the ground for me type of thing. And I'm thinking about selling what I've got, but I'm not going to tell you that I'm retiring yet. And some guys have just said, I punched my ticket. I'm out. I'm retiring. I'm going to go down my business. What are you seeing out there on that front?
Yeah, there's a few. We had a couple customers that we lost from our Middletown, Delaware store that retired over in. They were in New Jersey. It was interesting. There was a couple pieces there that a couple salesmen and I talked about, and they went probably $40,000-$50,000 more than what I thought they were going to bring. And it's, as you said, Aaron, because they could get it today.
Yep.
If you're thinking about retirement, now is the time to
Oh,
do it.
man. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, now is the time
Yep.
to do it.
Absolutely.
Well, you could retire for 5 years, sock that into some kind of account, let it grow, and then go buy cheap machinery when it falls out of bed again.
Yeah.
That's one of them used equipment guy
thought
processes right there. Everything's for sale.
I mean, I'm not seeing a mass exodus, but I would say it is the normal, probably 3-4% that we see every year.
Yep.
I don't believe it's increased from that, but it's just that the people that are doing it right now, they're making out. No doubt about it.
No doubt about it, for sure. Well, Kevin, hey, man, it's been a good conversation, man. What's the last thing you want to throw out there for the people out there on the podcast?
Wow. Perseverance, just take it one day at a time. It's going to be interesting. We're all in this boat together. There's not one OEM that was not affected by what's been going on and by all this craziness. So, with that perseverance, also please be patient with us as dealers, because we're the OEM is above us, and poop runs downhill, and so we're just trying to deal with what the OEM has given us as best as we can, and trying to satisfy you as the customer. So please bear with us and give us some patience, but we're all going to persevere.
Absolutely.
Last thing I put out there, man, is that, Kevin came to the Moving Iron Summit last year, and it was good to finally meet him in person. That's one of the good things about doing that is I talked to Kevin a million times, but I never actually put a face to the name. So it's good to see you this past fall here at the Moving Iron Summit, man.
Yeah, it was great to be there. Create, firm up relationships and create more relationships. And at the end of the day, that's what we got to have to help each other out, because we're all trying to move used equipment, and we're all trying to buy it properly, because that's our job, buy it properly and make sure our sales teams are buying it properly, so that we can resell it for a fair price.
Right.
Exactly right. Well, Kevin, man, appreciate you being on, bud.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the invitation.
All right, thanks, Kevin, for being on the podcast, man. Make sure you guys reach out and talk to Kevin. He's got a lot of good stuff going out there, and especially if you're out there on the East Coast, make sure you give those guys a shout. Well, Aaron, I think that's pretty well good jumping off spot here for the podcast. If you got any last things you want to throw out there?
Man, not that I can think of.
Yeah, that's a good one. I would just go out and say that anyone that's starting to do this now, you can't be on the phone enough. And that's the easiest way to start doing that.
Yep.
And growing that contact base with.
Always be looking for contacts, because eventually you get enough built up that the selling becomes requires far less effort.
And just like Kevin said, I mean, and I'll go back and say this, when we were talking, I want to have as many non-John Deere dealer contacts as I have John Deere dealer contacts.
Yep, absolutely.
And because it comes back right down to that. That asset that you can bring back to the dealership of knowing who to call when you've got X on the lot,
Right.
and have that candid conversation with that's going to help you sell that piece of equipment is priceless.
Yep.
You can't put a value on that. So,
Yep. Absolutely.
good deal. All right, Aaron. People want to reach out to you, get more information about what you got going on. What's the best way to do that?
I'd say call me, text me, 308-760-1193.
Did you get your Twitter thing figured out yet?
Not yet.
Outstanding. I just have to start a whole new one.
No.
Well, you can find me on all the social media that still works for me. So Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is where you find the latest editions of the Moving Iron podcast. You can also go to MovingIronLLC.com to find all the information about the Moving Iron Summit coming up in Nashville, Tennessee, September 6th, 7th, and 8th. If you want more information about that, just send me an email at MovingIronPodcast at MovingIronPodcast.com, and I can get that to you. So kind of back to the whole idea of building networks, right? That's the fundamental purpose of that meeting, right?
Yep.
It's a half day, full day, half day, and we have people come in that talk about the economy, the weather that's coming up, some driving factors out there that we're going to see is from the commodity side of the business all the way through just the overall economy. But the most important thing is you get to meet some people across the board. So if you're interested in coming to the Moving Iron Summit,
Regardless of color.
how long have you been going to it, Aaron?
Since inception.
Yeah, since the first one.
So,
How many
while.
people have you talked to there that you'd only talked to on the phone prior to that?
well, everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody I didn't fly there with.
All right.
So, yeah.
So it's a point. Yeah. So
Yeah,
if you go there, you're
exactly.
gonna meet people. And how many people were there that you met that you didn't know?
Oh, didn't already know,
Right.
like wasn't already a contact?
Right.
Hadn't emailed or talked? Maybe a couple.
Right. So you always find 2 or 3 people in there that you don't know. right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's 2 or 3 people every year that call me. I'm like, man, I feel like I should know you, but I
Right.
don't. So it's one
Well,
of those
people
things.
change at dealerships too.
Oh,
so.
sure. That's the other side of it too.
Yep.
Is that things get moved around too. So check it out. Want more information about that? Hit me up, Moving Iron Podcast at MovingIronPodcast.com. And if you really want to do me a solid, go to your favorite podcasting platform and give me 5 stars.
5
of them.
5-star.
And if they can give you 6, give me 6.
Go for it.
But this one
Rack
goes.
'em up.
But this one goes to 11. All right. So with that, I'm Casey Seymour with Aaron Fennell. Let's go move some iron, folks. Out. You want to have a meaningful competitive advantage to help sell more equipment. Whether you represent the sales, parts, or management department of an implement dealership, there's a surprising amount of complexity when it comes to tire, wheel, and track technology. Let Axon worry about that so you can get back to supporting your customers. Axon has leveraged years of experience to create a streamlined process that gives you a proven path to help today's grower and sell more equipment. The roots of their organization go back almost 100 years to the invention of the rubber tractor tire. Supporting agriculture is the #1 driver of Axon from product development through sales and service. To find more or become an Axon dealer, head over to axontire.com. This podcast is also brought to you by Valley Transportation. Valley has over 33 years in the trucking business, moving ag and construction equipment across the country. At Valley Transportation, our goal is to help you reach yours. For more information, go to valleytransinc.com or give Parker a call at 800-657-4910. This podcast is also brought to you by Ag Direct. No matter how you buy your ag equipment, from a dealer, auction, or a private party, Ag Direct can help you finance it. You can even apply online at agdirect.com. Learn more about your financing options at agdirect.com.
Moving higher in the 21st century. Hard-working people working hard for you and me. Moving higher, time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here. Moving higher.